The disappearance of SummerWells.
What do you think happened?
I have no idea what happened.
What do her parents know?
You took your daughter in the house and you never saw her come out.
She just was gone.
But she didn't just vaporize. Someone had to take her out of that house.
In her mind, she's being interrogated.
That's not interrogating you. We're trying to help you find your daughter.
A missing child.
Breaking news, an Amber Alert now issued by the TBI for a missing 5-year-old girl.
Her parents trying to prove their innocence.
They turned to social media for help, but online bullies began accusing them of having something to do with her disappearance. You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
Do you know what happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know who took Summer?
No, I can't do this. I'm being interrogated again. There's nothing more to remember.
We did see some interesting body language.
And I want to go home.
Don says that he fears his little girl is dead. Yet Candace says that she just must remain hopeful. Take a look.
Breaking news, an Amber Alert now issued by the TBI for a missing 5-year-old girl. The search continues for Summer Wells from Rogersville. Wells is roughly 3 feet tall, weighing 40 pounds with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was last seen wearing gray pants and a pink shirt. Now, she was reportedly last seen outside of her home in the area of Ben Hill Road and Beach Creek Road.
19 agencies, including the TBI and FBI, are assisting in the search, along with air proofs.
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation said the search for Summer is, quote, definitely outside the norm when it comes to the standard amount of time for a missing persons case like this.
Despite doing everything within our power and exploring all avenues, the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
We continue to hold out hope that Summer will be found safe.
We will not quit until we find Summer Wells.
Candace says that she and Summer had a great day, from running errands to swimming in a nearby lake to planting flowers with Grandma. When they got home, Candace watched Summer go through the front door, but she never saw her come out.
June 15th, 2021, it was just a normal day. I called my wife and she was getting her mother's prescription, so I decided just to go ahead and work late.
We just finished planting flowers and then Summer was putting the rocks on top. And then she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and then she asked to go back in the house with the boys. Well, she walked right in the house. After Summer went inside, I walked back over here to my mom's camper, and I fixed my mom's knee brace when she was sitting right here in the doorway, and I told my mom that I have to go back in with the kids. Helping my mom with the knee brace only took like 2 to 3 minutes. After I came into the house, I asked the boys where she was, and they said that she went downstairs to play in the playroom. And I came into the playroom and looked. I even looked under the bunk beds and everywhere, and she wasn't here at all. When I couldn't find Summer in the basement, I come outside and I stood up here on this hill and I hollered for her and told the boys that she wasn't down there. And then I went outside and I called Donnie right away.
About 5:30 p.m., my wife Candace called and said she couldn't find Summer. I said, well, hang up for me and call 911. So I threw my tools in the car as fast as I could, got in there and started down the road and called 911 myself. I've passed all kind of cars in double yellow and everything when I'm getting really worried. So here's my road. I pull down here, here's the creek right here. I notice my 3 boys are together and they're over here looking. And then I looked over that way and seen my neighbor coming this way towards my boys, and my heart sunk because I knew she was abducted. I knew she was gone.
Well, just like many parents of missing children these days, Don says they turn to social media for help. But instead of sending clues to his daughter's whereabouts, online bullies began accusing them of being guilty of either killing their daughter or having something to do with her disappearance.
I thought it was a 4-wheel drive, like Ford Escape or a Bronco or something.
It looked like a blue minivan to me, but I don't know.
Small blue minivan?
That's what it looked like to me.
We knew we would get to a point where it was going to be hard emotionally. And that's hard to do because people will think you're a monster, but that's important to getting facts. Do you know what happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know who took Summer?
No.
When you come home, when you first come home.
I'm not doing all that. I'm not going all the way back. I can't do this.
So they're trying to help. They're trying to help.
It's not helping me.
I know, but they might.
There's nothing more to remember. I want to go home.
to rule me out so you can stop messing with me and start looking with everybody else. Why was there reluctance here?
There's some reluctance because they do have some history with law enforcement and those things. And if you look at us, we kind of look like law enforcement, so it takes a little bit.
Yeah, you look like cops. All right, well, let's start.
Is there anything about Candace's story that makes you question the story?
No, not the way it played out and everything like that. I mean, yeah, you always have questions, and I'd ask myself, but the way that it happened and her emotions and her state of mind.
What were the questions that you had?
I mean, I don't really have any. I mean, I don't really have any questions. I mean.
Okay, now this is important to me because we're trying to find this little girl. I don't care about anything else. I want to know what happened to this little girl. I wouldn't be doing this story otherwise. I'm just interested if Summer has been abducted and she's somewhere, I want to find her. If her life has been taken, then we need to know that. I mean, answers have to be found here. She deserves that. This is the first time in any of your interactions that he ever used this word.
So what do you say to somebody who says, no, you're involved, your family's involved? How do you respond to that?
Well, for 3 months, I spent on the phone for 3 months. I accepted every friend request there was. People want, well, I'm your friend, we can look for you. And, you know, for 3 months, I stayed on the phone day and night trying to find her baby because I figured Facebook's the best tool possible to help find her. And but there's this group on Facebook combating this the whole time, and we don't know who this group is or what they're up to.
Greg asked him how he responded to that. He's talking about responding to people on Facebook. He's talking about responding to people on YouTube. He's had a whole lot of flack come from that direction. So I understood that he didn't see it as when an investigator asked you that question or when I asked you that question. He said, in other words, he took it as when social media asks you that question, how do you respond to them? That was his impression.
Physically, how do you do it?
Let's look at how the question is asked.
So what do you say to somebody who says, no, you're involved, your family's involved? How do you respond to that?
Well,
okay, at that point you said, how do you respond to that? You meant, how do you respond to it like, no, I deny that.
Exactly.
But instead, he says, well, I used the phone, I used the keyboard. That's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly.
Do you know where Summer is?
Oh, no. I wish I did.
Do you have any earthly idea what happened to her?
No. I wished I did.
Do you think Candace had anything to do with it?
No.
And what about this? And you think what might have happened to her was what?
She was kidnapped.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the first time that he ever used that.
And he used abducted in your lead-in footage.
Yes. Right. Abducted. Now, and there's a substantial difference.
Yes.
Abducted is just all of a sudden she's there, then she's gone. Kidnapped is transactional.
That's right. And
at this point, he's cooperating.
yes.
Yes.
And he's been cooperating throughout.
Yes.
Yes.
Sometimes to his detriment.
Yeah.
For sure.
With like social media and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What do you think should happen to somebody that did this?
They should be put away for the rest of their lives.
Did you do anything to Summer?
No.
It's been 4 months since SummerWells was last seen at her home here on Ben Hill Road. Since the night of June 15th,
everybody's a person of interest till we find Summer.
authorities said all possibilities were on the table, but Summer's parents believe someone took her.
I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
The couple says the online bullies accused them of having something to do with the disappearance. Now, Don says Candace refused at first, but finally agreed to sit down.
Candace, I'm going to have to ask you some hard questions. I told you this. Did you do anything to Summer?
No.
Do you know what happened to Summer?
No.
Do you know who took Summer?
No.
Anybody in your family involved with this?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And you know, people are always going to point their fingers to people closest to somebody. It's just the nature of how it goes. What do you got to say to those people?
I don't know what to say, but they're wrong.
Why are they wrong?
Because I had nothing to do with this. No.
You hear strong no's to the first two questions.
Correct.
But then when you say, do you know?
Right.
It's like, no.
I will say, when you
do
do what we do for a living, sometimes people cry and you force them to cry. So this immediately caused the next question.
Is there any reason anyone near you would want to hurt you or your kids?
Not that I'm aware of.
What do you think should happen to somebody that did this? To the person that did this, what do you think should happen to them?
They should be put away for the rest of their lives. I mean, they should be tormented, I think.
Everything she's doing says I'm unsure and shouldn't be saying this. That's what we're seeing there.
Yes, for sure. And we haven't seen a lot of emotion, but we see it here.
The night of June 15th, there are still no answers as to where Candace and Dawn's 5-year-old daughter, Summer, could be.
The guys who run organized crime around you worried about them at all?
Oh, they question him, and he has an alibi, you know, but, you know.
What about those fellas that live around there in the cornbread mafia?
Cornbread mafia.
That's what we call them where we live.
I have no idea. I've heard about some hillbilly mafia type stuff and everything, you know, and all these different boys. And we've tried to steer clear from all these.
This is words on me.
I've tried to steer clear from all these people just as much as possible. And I think they've kind of seen us as targets, because they have come up and stole our stuff. They come up in my shed and stole all my mechanic tools at one time. You know, when they knew we were gone. They knew me and her were together. Just hang on.
Have you guys put any kind of security or anything on your place?
No, we don't have any kind of security.
Into her room where she lives. She's picked up her toys. She's held her toys. She's looked at the bed she's not in. She's looked at trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger after trigger, and not a tear. But then you ask about the cornbread mafia, which is a colloquial term for a kind of organized grassroots crime syndicate in Tennessee.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Let's pay attention to her.
What about those fellas that live around there in the cornbread mafia?
Cornbread mafia.
That's what we call it.
As soon as I say cornbread mafia, we'll watch this side of her mouth start dragging down.
I've heard about some hillbilly mafia type stuff and everything, you know, and all these different boys. And we've tried to steer clear from all these.
This is words on me.
I've tried to steer clear.
I will also say, are the tears real? Absolutely, because you can't fake a snotty nose, just to use regular old terms. And what we know is that she is feeling pain, she is feeling emotion here that we didn't see any other place in the story. So this feels.
We don't know what it is.
That's right.
It could be fear.
That's right.
It could be guilt. It could be fear and guilt. It could be a number of things.
Clear from all these people, just as much as possible. And I think they've kind of seen us as targets, because they have come up and stole our stuff. They come up in my shed and stole all of my mechanic tools at one time. You know, when they knew we were gone. They knew me and her were together.
Okay, at this point, she wants out. She came there to help find her daughter.
Correct.
But you've raised the stakes to the point that, forget about my daughter, I want out of this room.
I can't do this.
So they're trying to help. They're trying to help.
Yeah, we're trying to help.
It's not helping me.
It's okay. So let's give you a minute, okay? If she had said, well, how's this going to help Summer? Our response would have been different, but that took us down the path.
That's when
They're not helping me.
Live in the country, you don't expect that kind of stuff.
Calm down for a minute.
No, I want to go outside.
These are tough questions.
No, I'm being interrogated again, and I don't want to do this anymore. Yes, I am.
We'll stop. I want you to feel comfortable.
No, I want. Oh, and I want to go home.
Calm down.
I don't want.
Don looks oblivious to all of this. He's trusting us and paying attention to us. She's not. It's an interesting.
I watched her walk in there, and afterwards, when she was already in there, I walked over, I said, "Why?" And he looked at me and I said, "Watch Sissy, I'll be right back." And that's when I walked back over to my mom's.
Okay.
And I was fixing her brace and stuff like that. And I said, "Well, Mom, I got to go back over with the kids." And that's when I come back up into the house.
Okay.
With the boys.
Okay.
Not that.
You walked into the house.
I walked into here. Get up. I walked in here and them three were sitting right here in a row with their eyes glued to the TV, like always. And I said, "Boys, where's your sister at?" "Well, she just went downstairs, Mom, to play." So I went over here like this, because this is where the stairs are.
Okay.
It's actually down under there.
Oh, down into her bedroom.
Our bedroom, and then hers is on the other side.
Oh, okay, in the basement.
Yeah, in the basement.
Well, this makes sense now, see?
And then I yelled and I said, "Summer, Summer." And she didn't, I listened for a minute, I didn't hear nothing. So I went like this, because this is how I would get down here.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if you want to come down here or not.
Do I gotta be tiny to get in there?
No, you should.
Can we come in from the other side?
Well, we can, but it'd make more sense if you went this way.
Okay, I'll follow you. Oh, man. Good grief,
No, I know if my 6-foot husband can fit down here, you can.
Huh?
My husband's 6 foot, I know if he can fit, you can.
This... Oh, my gosh. Way to go.
This is my husband's room.
Okay.
And over here, well, it's a mess again.
That's all right.
But this is where Summer and Little Waylon was.
Correct.
You asked, could you hear if someone had opened that door?
She said, "Yes, you can clearly."
I don't recall if this was locked or not. I don't recall that.
Okay.
But I know, it's hard on me. But I know I did come out here and I said, "Summer," because sometimes she'll sit right here.
There was a tiny squeak to the door, and that was it.
That was all.
You couldn't hear that up those stairs, through that cubby hole, and around through that cluttered room with the television on?
No.
Because everything I'm seeing does not tell me that I have a hypervigilant mom on my hands here. As I understand it, what Candace says is that they were planting flowers.
Yes, sir.
She had a piece of candy.
Yes, sir.
They washed their hands, had a piece of candy, and then she says she walked her up the stairs to the house, inside, handed her off to the boys for supervision, that the boys said she went downstairs. Candace went back outside to help her mother with her brace.
Yes.
And came back in, and all of that happened within 2 to 3 minutes.
Yes.
What she says. 2 to 5.
I'm saying what she says.
Yes. Yep.
2 to 3 minutes. She called for Summer, no answer, and she immediately called Dawn on the phone and said Summer's missing.
I think she will tell you that she didn't. We got something different the other day. We heard that after she checked the house, she crawled around under beds, she did this, she did that. She put the boys out to look in the yard, and then she called Dawn, is what we heard.
Okay. So, but she went on alert in 3 to 5 minutes.
Right.
Correct.
Psychologically speaking, I have to tell you that's inconsistent with everything I'm seeing. Because everything I'm seeing does not tell me that I have a hypervigilant mom on my hands here. I'm not saying that Candace is involved here. I'm not saying Dawn's involved here. I'm just saying it just doesn't add up to me. And when things don't add up, I need more information. My goal here is to see if there's something we can find out. Maybe it's something that they have guilty knowledge of. Maybe it's something they know that they don't know. They're not aware that they know something that might be meaningful. They may know something they don't know is important.
The disappearance of SummerWells.
What do you think happened?
I have no idea what happened.
What do her parents know?
You took your daughter in the house and you never saw her come out.
She just was gone.
But she didn't just vaporize. Someone had to take her out of that house.
In her mind, she's being interrogated.
That's not interrogating you. We're trying to help you find your daughter. Candace and Dawn sat down with body language experts Scott Rouse and Greg Hartley. Now, Scott and Greg are interrogators. Together, They have been called a human lie detector.
Because we could get to more information. Did you do anything to Summer?
No.
What do you think should happen to somebody that did this?
They should be put away for the rest of their lives. I mean, they should be tormented, I think.
We haven't seen a lot of tears from her, but then you ask about the Cornbread Mafia, which is a organized grassroots crime syndicate in Tennessee, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
What about those fellows that live around there in the Cornbread Mafia?
Cornbread Mafia.
That's what we call them where we live. I don't know if this.
I have no idea. I've heard about some hillbilly mafia type stuff and everything, you know. And
She is feeling emotion here that we didn't see any other place in the story. So this
But
feels.
we don't know what it is.
That's
It
right.
could be fear.
That's right.
It could be guilt.
We can't read minds, we read symptoms, but those are pretty clear.
On June 15th, little 5-year-old Summer went missing from her family home. Her parents, Don and Candace, say they thought they were doing the right thing by going online, requesting the public's help to find their little girl. But Don says it all backfired. They became targets of online bullies.
The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's mission is to find missing children like Summer. While they wouldn't tell us whether or not they're involved in her specific investigation, they say visibility is key.
So it's really about visibility and sharing the power of the photo and combining it with the power of the public, so that if there's somebody who's out there and has information or recognizes the child, gives that information to either law enforcement right away.
Last year, NCMEC helped law enforcement, families, and child welfare with more than 27,000 cases of missing children. During that time period, 89.9% of their cases were recovered.
If there's an attempted abduction in a particular area or within a certain mile radius, or sex offenders, we can provide mapping to law enforcement.
The search continues for missing SummerWells. The TBI does not want people to submit tips based on Facebook and YouTube videos.
When Summer came out missing, I thought the best thing I could do is turn to social media. So I put all her pictures out there on YouTube, Facebook, and everything I could, hoping that social media could help us find our daughter. And that's when the entire investigation got totally twisted around. I have 2 distant relatives that accused me of some horrific things that were definitely not true. They called TBI the second day after Summer's disappearance and told them that I'd done horrific thing to my daughter and killed her. They put it out there on YouTube. After all these lies were spread all over social media, I started getting messages, tell them where your daughter is. Let's get this over with. Just all kinds of hate. The worst part of all the social media lies is people were focused on us, and even the police focused on us. Instead of going out looking for Summer, they started looking at me and my family. And we lost about 75 days. As far as all those lies and stuff, none of that matters. We just want our baby home.
Yeah, I'm here.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I didn't block you. All your text messages and all just disappeared. I didn't block you. I even tried to send you a text, but I didn't hear from you. I don't know what's up. That happens on my phone sometimes with people. I don't know why. But I didn't block you.
Are you out of town working right now?
Yeah, I'm trying to, pick up the pieces and move on. But,
Why not the Cold Case Foundation?
Well,
Why do you call them a joke? Why'd you do that?
I didn't realize I called them a joke.
You wrote it in PG's chat yesterday.
Oh, I might have. Well, after everything we've been through, we turned to YouTubers for help, Chris McDonough, and look what's happened to us. This isn't help. You guys have all, hell, they come out to my job site protests and on and on and on. It never ends, ever ends. How is that helping Summer? Don't you think we should be sick of all this shit by now after 2 freaking years? None of this helps Summer. I know you didn't, but you're sitting there every day. Every little word I say, you make you make a show out of every little thing and go over and over and over. So how am I supposed to trust anybody at this point? We already got FBI, TBI, Hawkins County. How is the Cold Case Foundation better than FBI?
They're the ones that gave the infrastructure for the FBI. They train them.
Go, y'all.
Really?
Hey, Don.
Hey, how y'all doing?
All right.
Now, why don't you tell them why you don't want to get
Man,
a
shut up,
Don?
sissy. Nobody
Why
listening
don't
to
you
your
tell them?
dumb ass.
They
Shut
do
up.
listen to me,
Got a big
motherfucker.
mouth.
They do
Blah,
listen
blah,
to
blah.
me.
I
Nobody
don't wanna
listens
hear
to
it.
you.
Nobody's listening to you.
You already
I
been into your whiskey
more
bottle tonight?
specifically,
How
not
can we
listening to you.
I can
listen,
tell you're
Don,
already drinking, dude.
how can we help
Yeah,
you?
you drink all the time, don't you?
No,
Don,
actually, I don't.
Don,
You're
how
asking
Why?
me to
Because I
stop
worked
too.
all day and I'm tired. I'm supposed to be drinking now. Man, go to hell.
You, I can look at your
listen,
fucking
Don,
eyes and tell you're on something.
Man, you're
Don,
on something. Why don't
wait,
you
you guys,
put your eyes up there because you're too chicken shit.
listen, Don, can we ask you a question? I mean, what do you want us to, how can we help you with Summer? Just, I don't want,
Well, all this bullshit that Sissy and Don B, Benny Keys, all these YouTubers, Molly Golightly, and all these people are doing ain't helping nothing. It's making them richer is all they're doing.
so,
Excuse me. It costs me to run my YouTube, bitch. So don't tell me
Don't
how
call
much
me a
anything.
bitch.
Don,
And how many
Who's the real bitch
and
here?
how many times you ever hear
Don,
me ask for shit, mother's for nothing?
Whatever. I've never asked you for
Fuck you.
nothing.
Fuck you,
You're a
asshole.
liar.
And
friend,
I don't
You're
lie.
such a
I don't
liar.
lie. I don't lie. You're the
You
lying
lie
piece of shit.
constantly.
You're the piece of shit
Man,
lying
every
motherfucker.
time I talk
And then
to
you go
you,
say Jody
you
Sue
put me on
wanted
blast.
to. Jody Sue wanted to.
Man, I don't
She
want to
don't
hear
want
about
your
Jody
fucking
Sue.
ass.
We're talking about your
well,
dumb ass.
She
well,
didn't want you,
Don,
You're
motherfucker.
a
The only
liar.
reason you're up here is because of me, you asshole. You know
listen,
what?
Yeah, I'm
You're
tired
the
of
fuck
people
out.
like
You
you.
just go ahead and stay up here, bitch.
I'm
I
tired of
can't
people like
can't
you.
stand your fucking face.
Just
Where's
because you can
Summer,
run your
Don?
mouth.
Where's Summer, bitch?
Wow,
Quit
man,
covering up for Kansas. Do
man, I'm
something
gonna have
on
to
your
get
own
off
fucking
here because
blood
I'm
for
not
a
doing
change,
this.
wait,
motherfucker.
Don, let's
Just
don't
because
listen.
she can run her
We need to
mouth.
know about Summer.
Anybody can
fucking
do
daughter.
that.
Hang on just a second. Don,
Yeah,
what can we do to help find Summer? That's the most important thing,
right.
is to find
You know,
Summer.
and that's why I turn to YouTube. You know, and it's just
Yeah.
they've destroyed our lives. I mean, you know, yeah, I'm not perfect. I made mistakes. Of course, everybody makes mistakes. But that's why I turned to YouTube was for help. And they all turned against me in every way. You know,
Well,
Sissy's a good example of that.
well, you all used to be friends, and
No, we
she,
were never friends. She was a pretend friend. Oh, I'm your best friend, blah, blah, blah. She was never a friend. She's a snake, just like all the rest of the YouTubers. Not all of them, because there's some good ones out there. And I've made a lot of mistakes, man. I'm not perfect. I'll guarantee you.
well, none of us are perfect.
Right. No, we're not. But I will try to be real. I'll try to ask for, man, none of this is helping Summer or any of these kids that are lost out there. Everybody wants in on the action so they can be the big YouTube channel and make all this money or whatever.
Well, what do you want people to know? Tell us what we can do to help find Summer. Tell us
Okay.
what we can do.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
important thing.
If I could say anything to the public, it would be, I don't know. None of this is doing any good for these lost children out there. Nothing. None of this is doing any good. I don't know. I really don't know.
What is your thoughts of what happened to Summer? Do you think that it
Well,
was
it's very obvious if anybody was actually ever listening, you know, to me and Candace in the first place, you know, we've been completely honest 100%. We've worked with the police 100%. Ronnie Lawson stated on the news that we quit cooperating and we lawyered up, which was a straight lie. We worked with law enforcement 100%. Well, hell, my dumb ass, as stupid as I am, not knowing anything about social media, turned to freaking YouTubers, which is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life, for help to find my daughter. How stupid could someone be? Man,
well, you're not the only one, Don. Brandy's had to come out here too for her son. It's just something that you do. I mean, Brandy has had so many people.
Social media is the strongest tool that we have going today. Unfortunately, there's so many people use it for their own evil agenda.
Where's Summer, Candace?
You know, and it's unfortunate. They're making tons of money.
You
Here
know,
I
we
am.
know.
I lost my job. I don't
You
know what I'm gonna do.
we know the truth.
You know, and I'm living in some scummy ass fucking motel trying to
You
fucking
can't
make
hide
a
from
living.
us.
Stop hiding.
You know,
I don't know.
we
man.
know the truth. You may be able to fool everybody else, but you didn't fool us.
Your missing daughter, Summer. Since you've last talked to Scott and Greg, have you learned anything at all, anything new, thing that we don't know?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all?
Nothing at all.
First off, tell me about Summer. Candace, you're her mom. Tell me about Summer. What's she like? How did she spend her time mostly?
Playing with the toys.
Yeah. Did she like to play inside, outside?
She liked to be outside most of the time.
Yeah. You have the three boys, and then Summer, she was the youngest.
Yeah.
And how'd she get along with the boys?
She was boss of the boys.
She ran the ran the boys? Yeah.
No.
She stuck close to the
Stuck
house?
close to the house.
Was she a daddy's girl or a mama's girl?
She was a daddy's girl.
Daddy's girl? Yeah. There were some vehicles that were seen around the property that day. A red truck, for example, was seen nearby. Did that person ever come forward and identify themselves?
Never did come forward as far as we know.
Do y'all know anybody with a red truck?
No.
You know, statistics tell us that when children are abducted or molested or in any way victimized, it's very seldom by strangers. It's a friend of the family, a family member. It's somebody that has access to the family. Do you have any idea, any concept of anybody that would have had knowledge of your property, how to get down that road, how to do anything that and I'm not asking you to name somebody here, but is there anybody that comes to mind that might have seen Summer or targeted her in some way?
Not that we know of. We've been thinking about that constantly, constantly. It's just trying to think.
Candace, is there anybody that made you uncomfortable, just the way they looked at her or were around her?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
I'm sorry?
Nobody that I'm aware of.
I've been involved in a lot of these investigations, and I've got some observations I want to share with you that I feel real strongly about. To make matters worse for Don and Candace, Child Protective Services removed their 3 sons from the house. That might be a bad thing. It might not be a bad thing given some of the hate that's been directed towards them. We'll talk about
Authorities say on October 14th, SummerWells' mom, Candace Bly, told officers Donald Wells came home drunk and saw someone else in the house and believed that Bly was cheating on him. Bly filed an order of protection. She says Wells drinks and throws things and that he was mentally and physically abusive.
She's apologized to me. She even talked to the judge and told him that she made a serious mistake.
The domestic assault charges and unlawful possession of a handgun were dismissed.
For Don and Candace, it was bad enough dealing with the stress of their 5-year-old daughter Summer disappearing 4 months ago from their rural Tennessee property. But to make matters worse, their sons, 13, 11, and 9 years old, were removed by Child Protective Services.
This is the hardest time of me and Candace's life. You lose your daughter, and then you get blamed for it, and then everybody turns on you. We have threatening phone calls daily. They threatened my job. They done everything they could to destroy our family. Had a stranger come up at 2 in the morning. Didn't know what he was doing there. I fired a shot over his head, and they ran down the driveway. I expected bullet holes to be coming through our house, so we had a lot of sleepless nights. It was taking a toll on me. At one point, I broke down. I lost it. I started drinking really bad, and I made some poor decisions. Once Summer was taken, CPS had to open a case for our good and for the boys' protection. So CPS thought our house was dangerous. I was being dangerous. The CPS took our boys, which I was glad at the time. I was glad that they were not here because I was scared to death for their lives. I agreed with them. My wife didn't, and she's mad at me, but it was just too dangerous. And now it's 3 months later, and there's no sign of our daughter, and we miss all our kids. We just miss them so much.
You want the boys back?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't want them to go to begin with.
Right.
You want them back now.
Yes.
Do you think it's safe for them to come back?
It's a lot safer than it was.
Yeah.
You haven't had any acts of violence against you at the house?
No.
Okay. So there's no reason in terms of acts of violence that have been perpetrated against you that would cause them to conclude that the boys would be in harm's way?
No, we just had one issue with a woman sent to our house, and we don't know. We've heard she was sent from some YouTubers. We don't know. Well, we called the police right away, and they took her off the property.
If they did a home study right now, if they came in and studied the home, would it meet the standard that they were looking for? Would the house be clean and uncluttered and groceries and safe as far as guns and everything that Child Protective Services investigates? Would it be proper for the boys?
Well, there's some things they want us to work on. We need to put in a couple walls and some other things. So there's still a few things we need to work on.
But you could get that done in short order.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what I think. And like I say, I've done this a lot, and I trained as a forensic psychologist, looking psychology and the law and the forensics involved with human behavior and conduct. And based on the timeline and the factors here, it's very clear to me, based on the facts, that neither one of you did anything to hurt your daughter.
No, sir.
No, sir.
That's very clear to me. So can we, are you understand that I understand that?
Yes.
And you understand that initially the first thing they do is look at the, if it's the husband that goes missing or gets killed, they look at the spouse. If it's the wife that goes missing, they look at the husband. Because statistically, oftentimes that's who it is. Again, because of access.
Right.
Opportunity, motive, means, all of that, they look at the spouse. And so when something happens to a child, parents are the ones in control of the child, so that's the first place they look.
Yes, sir.
And when I first studied this case, the first thing I looked at was, okay, what would be the opportunity for the father and the mother? And I looked at that, not knowing y'all at all, just to look at it. And given the timeline, there's no way that either one of y'all did harm to your daughter, and I hate to even say these words, killed your daughter and hid her body in the woods somewhere. I just don't believe that's even possible. So understand, I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter. Awesome. I'm not sitting here wondering if you killed your daughter.
Thank you.
I don't think that for a second. And I'm saying that publicly here. So if people are wondering what I think, that's what I think. I don't think you did that. I don't think you did that. And I assume I'm correct about that.
Yes.
You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
You didn't do anything to hurt your daughter? Did he do anything to hurt your daughter?
No, sir.
Did she do anything to hurt your daughter? Okay. And, the reason that I can conclude that is based on the timeline is you couldn't have done that and hidden the body somewhere that couldn't have been found by now. Cadaver dogs, hunting dogs, search parties, all of that. You couldn't have gotten far enough away before authorities and search parties and everybody got in there. The question that I'm then left with is, do you know something about it that you haven't shared? Something you may not even know you know. You may not, there may be something in your mind you don't even know you know, or you may know something that you haven't chosen to speculate about, or you haven't chosen to tell. And that's what I'm really focused on right now, because you're in the best position to know what could have happened. If you had to speculate, what do you think happened?
I have no idea what happened.
Well,
I don't.
You have to have some idea, because you took your daughter in the house and you never saw her come out.
Right.
Something happened.
I don't know what happened. She just was gone.
But she didn't just vaporize. Someone had to take her out of that house. And we know it wasn't you. We know you didn't do anything to her.
Right.
So if it wasn't you, then who was it? Let's rule you out. Okay, we've taken you off the chessboard. You're off the table. If it wasn't you, then who would be the next most likely candidate?
I don't know. I wish I knew.
Would it be someone, a stranger? Would it be somebody you know?
I don't know anybody that would have did it. It had to be a stranger.
Is there anybody you knew that has disappeared since this happened?
No.
That, you know, they were around and then this happened and all of a sudden they kind of moved away, or they've gone away somewhere?
Oh, nobody that I know of.
The only people that I know is the people I work with on a daily basis, and that's the only ones I've ever hung out with. I work all the time, and when I am home, I'm with my kids and her.
Is there anybody that you've had dealings with that are shady, that would do something revenge-wise, just to get back at you, to hurt you, that you owe money, or that you had illicit dealings with in some way? We know that you've had some conflict with the law concerning drugs and different things. Is there anybody that you've gotten sideways with?
I fired a lot of guys for being on meth, and the last guy I fired a day before. Pretty sure, I can't prove it, but he was way out there, and I fired him. The very next day, my daughter disappeared.
Did Don fire you or Richard Tucker fired you?
Don fired me. 2 weeks prior to this happening, I was begging Jesse to give me my own house and move me away from Don. The dude's crazy. There's something wrong with him. He's deliberately starting trouble, and, you know, they didn't listen to me. Instead, they set me up for the kill. And he walks up to me with a scoop of mud on his knife and flings it right on a brand new window. I said, when are you gonna grow up? I said, now you get to clean that shit. But takes a picture of it, sends it to Jesse and says, look what Dudley did. He's fighting with me. You know, just setting me up for a kill. And, you know, just setting me up for a kill. And, you know, just setting me up for a kill.
And the law, TBI's been talking to him, and he's got an alibi where he was.
Is there anybody that might be trying to get even with you, that would try to hurt you by taking your daughter?
I can't think of anybody.
Nobody in the drug culture, nobody owed money, nobody?
Oh.
In our area, there's people that, you know, you got these boys and then you got these boys that you know, they're very prideful about, you know, kind of like, I guess LA, you got the Bloods and the Crips. Well, these are hillbillies. I don't know. But we don't associate with them. We don't socialize with them. We try to socialize with our church. We try to keep our kids in that church. That's our main goal. We try to stay completely far away from that kind of activity as possible.
But you haven't always.
Right.
When you guys sat down with Scott and Greg, they ask you about organized crime in the area.
Right.
Because we know that there's trafficking that goes on.
Yeah.
People take children, and I hate to even say this because it's such a horrible thing to think about, but they take children they sell them. They sell them into all different kinds of different lives, whether it's sex trade, slave trade, different things. That happens here in L.A., it happens there. And they ask you about organized crime. When Scott asked you about the cornbread mafia, you got very upset when he asked you about that. Why did that upset you so much?
Because I don't even know what that is.
I'm sorry?
I've never even heard of it. I don't even know what it is.
Then why would it upset you so much?
Because it sounds horrible.
Just thinking, her in her mind, feeling like she's being interrogated bothers her because she loves her daughter with all her heart. She spent a lot of quality time with her every day, thank God. She took a lot of pictures.
Well, why don't you let her answer?
Okay, yes, sir.
Because that's not interrogating you. It's we're trying to help you find your daughter. I started this out by saying, I don't think you hurt your daughter. I'm standing up for you. I'm saying, I don't think you hurt your daughter. But I'm going to look under every rock. I'm going to go down every trail. I'm going to investigate everything. And if you want to find her, you would be right there beside me saying, right, Doc, let's turn this rock over. Let's ask this person. Let's consider this. It doesn't make sense to me that, I mean, you got up and left the interview when he asked you about that, and I didn't understand that. You want to find your daughter, obviously. Yes. And it puzzles me that you get so upset about that. And, you know, one theory is guilty knowledge, that you may know something you don't even know you know. You may be afraid of something that is so horrible you don't even want to think about it. And so you push it down and don't even want to think about it. But I want you to think about it. I want you to be willing to consider every possibility, because it's only when you think about the darkest possibilities that we can find answers.
Candace Bly, the mother of missing Rogersville 5-year-old Summer Wells, released a statement explaining her reasons for walking out during an appearance with Dr. Phil and the behavior panel.
Now, according to a statement from Bly just before the Wells family's appearance on the Dr. Phil show, she says a child was reported that matched Summer's description somewhere, quote, south of Tennessee. Bly in this statement said when that girl was found and it was not Summer, she said it was, quote, like losing her all over again. Many reasons why she got up and left, but she said she walked away from the interview with that behavioral panel hired by Dr. Phil for the segments after she believed that they became confrontational. You can find a link to the video of her statement on WJHL.com.
And the cornbread mafia, Scott, define that for us.
Sort of an organized crime syndicate in the South. It runs from Tennessee to Georgia. It's widespread.
And it's kind of a homegrown. This isn't out of New York or Miami or Chicago. This is a local syndicated mafia. There's a lot of meth trafficking in it. There's a lot of all sorts of things.
Yes, sir.
And there are a lot of meth labs in that area, and this is all organized. These aren't independent.
Correct.
It's even harder to penetrate because everybody knows everybody.
Right.
That's
and there is trafficking involved in that part of the country, like every other part of the country. And so one of the theories is that someone abducted her in that regard. And I don't know that. I'm just saying you have to consider that. Somebody took her for some reason.
That's been one of my theories, because there's been a lot of people coming up to our house and just taking whatever at night. They come up, they knew where we were one day, and they took all the tools out of my shed. And that's been one of my theories, is someone local that's been watching us.
Let me ask you, Candace, if I understand correctly what you've said. You took Summer in the front door.
Yes. Directly down there.
And
I looked for everywhere I could look, in the room, under the blankets, whatever. And she was gone.
Yeah. All right. What's the way to get out of there besides coming back upstairs?
Just the basement door.
That back door?
Yeah.
Okay. And if that door opens, could the boys hear it?
No, if they had the TV up loud.
Okay. All right. Is she known to go out that back door?
She'll go out the back door, but then she'll circle around by her swing.
Okay. Back around to the front?
Yeah.
What we're seeing here is looking out that back door, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, there's a road there. Is that a
driveway?
A driveway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, can that be seen from your mother's camper?
No.
That's the back side of the house. You can't see that from her camper?
Not that part, no.
If you step out on the road there, you can about see your camper.
And that drive there goes up to the highway?
It circles around the house. Right there, it goes to the top, and then it goes down around to it. It circles all the way around the house.
Okay. Is that the back door?
That's the back door.
That's the door to her room?
Yes.
Okay. If she came out that back door and there was somebody there, could they have grabbed her right there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then how would they make their escape? Back this direction?
Well,
away from the camper?
The dogs led, the scent went straight down that dog trail by that yellow generator, right from where that picture's taken.
You're saying then that this is the back door?
Yes, sir.
And you're saying that there was a scent that went this direction?
Yes, all the way down to Ben Hill Road.
All the way where?
All the way down to Ben Hill Road.
Okay. Now, if this looks like a big circle, how do you get back to the highway?
So you go down the driveway to Ben Hill Road and then turn left, and it takes you out to Beach Creek area.
Okay, so for someone to drive away, they would have had to come on around the circle and exit here?
That's a possibility, but we think they were parked down on the Ben Hill Road.
Okay, so you think they would have walked on down through the woods to the road? And left the car down at the road?
Yes. And that's what the dogs indicated. The scent went down to the road, and then somewhere on that road, the scent disappeared.
But how would they have known she was going to be there? Would they have gone inside the room to get her?
Possibility. I wasn't even aware the trail was there.
Okay. So your belief is this might be the last spot that Summer was on the property?
Yes, sir.
Right there?
Yes.
That she was put in a vehicle there and driven away?
Yep.
Scott and Greg, you interviewed this family for hours. What is your theory? What's your summation about what happened?
Well, I'll start with you right up front. I don't think either one of them killed or injured Summer. We said that up front. I will say I also don't think that Don, and I'll hand it to you in just a second, I don't think Don has any guilty knowledge of anything based on all the time I've spent with him. And Candace, if you don't have guilty knowledge, if you know anything, this is your kid. You need to push this out, whatever you know, because you show signs that you're hiding something.
Well, I'm not hiding anything, though.
Well, the reason we think you're hiding something is because each time we've talked about the cornbread mafia, which you don't know about, that tears you up. You emotionally fall apart. We see signs of stress.
But I don't know anything.
Everything about your body language suggests, or it indicates to us, that you know a little more than you're telling us.
Candace, there are 2 or 3 really red flag things that make us want to know more. Not saying you did X or you did Y. There are lots of ways that things leak in your body language and your behavior, and that's what we're seeing.
Do you understand that we're saying we don't suspect you of doing something wrong?
Yes, I understand that.
It's important to me that you understand that.
Yes, I understand that.
You guys passed polygraphs. I've just the logistics of this thing. It just does not point to you. And if investigators pointing it to you, they're not doing the math. It just doesn't make sense. What I'm saying is, I think you know more than you're telling, and that may be more than you're consciously acknowledging. You may know things you don't know you know, or maybe it's too horrible to think about, but you've got to cut through that, because you do react to certain things that suggest at some level you know something more than you're giving a voice to. And I'm saying you've got to be willing to take your guards down and think through if there's anything that you're pushing out of consciousness, if there's anything that you're just not willing to acknowledge. We need your help to find your daughter. I guarantee you, when this is solved, and it's going to be solved, this isn't going to be a stranger. This is going to be somebody you know, somebody you've crossed paths with somewhere, somehow, in my opinion. It's just a matter of you're going to find it out when they're caught, or you're going to find it out because you go back through and do an inventory and figure out everything you can possibly figure out and lead us to who they are. And every day goes by, that trail gets colder and colder and colder. And if she was abducted and she's been trafficked somewhere, she can be found. I want to find that
However, social
baby.
media has negatively impacted this investigation.
We are also aware that there are some people using this case for their own personal gain by spreading false information on social media posts as facts. Some go as far as to solicit donations. This has had a major impact on the investigation, and not in a good way.
The
You
National
know what?
Center for Missing and
Candace don't know what to do but to shut down. I've been talking to her. It's time to fight. She needs to stand up, and she needs to come out there and tell her side of the story. I get she's got to do this.
Yeah.
You know, but she's not ready. I mean, I'm hoping she gets ready soon.
Yeah.
I have complete faith in her. Is she a perfect woman or anything else? Hell no. Are any of us perfect? Hell no.
No.
But
none of us are.
is she guilty of having something to do with Summer's disappearance? Hell fucking no. Okay.
What's got you so upset tonight, Don?
Because I'm tired of the mob mentality coming after us. That ruined our lives. When all this first happened, you know, and we had all these people coming at our house 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and all this crap going on, a gun fight on our bottom property. The cops was out there, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We had Molly's Golightly crawling up our heel like a freaking freak, and everything else, and then putting it all on YouTube and all kinds of stuff. We had, we had so much going on. I felt that it was safer that our boys was not in our custody. And when the welfare wanted to take our boys, I was more than happy to let them take them, because it was really bad at that time. And yet I'm very pissed off, because not only did the YouTubers take advantage of us, also, you know, welfare in Hawkins County took advantage of us and fucked us over. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
Don.
pissed.
All right,
I'm fucking mad.
It's time you paid attention to me now.
Hey.
I've got a shirt on. I've got a shirt on. I think you might appreciate. I do. I
Don,
appreciate this shirt.
I think one of the biggest mistakes that you did make was telling them to take your boys, because
I know that now. I know that now. I agree 100%. You're right. Okay, let me ask you this. The person that come up and stole my daughter, what am I supposed to call him? Tell me. What am I supposed to call that motherfucker?
You gonna call him?
Tell me. What am I supposed to call him? What am I supposed to say? What else is the motherfucker? The motherfucker that comes up and kills somebody, shoots you in the head, and kills one of your family members. What you supposed to call him?
Dead.
Tell me.
That's what I call him.
Jinkies, I agree with you. Dead.
I'd call him dead.
What do you call these motherfuckers?
I call him dead too.
I understand you're upset. I understand.
You're fucking right. These motherfuckers took my daughter. They probably fucking raped her. They probably fucking killed her. What am I supposed to call this motherfucker?
Don,
And then all the motherfuckers on YouTube and all
Don,
these motherfucking Hawkins County. What am I supposed to call these motherfuckers?
Don,
Hey,
it's gonna be
Don.
okay.
They're
I'm
all
upset. You're very upset.
Yeah, he's
you
upset.
fucking
I'm not gonna
right,
leave this
I'm
up there for you
upset.
to be
Fuck
upset.
them all, big and small. Fuck them all, big and small. I'm done.
It's okay.
I want to find that baby. I want to find that child and bring her back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we go, I want to put up this phone number because if you have any information on Summer's whereabouts, please call the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND.